Let's do the invocation and flag Commissioner Kevin Cornell.
All right. Lord, we gather here today to conduct county business. We want to thank you for allowing us to be here, each and every one of us. I want to thank our first responders. We want to thank the Lord for allowing 0 injuries in that fire at the apartment complex in Cedar Park. That was a true blessing. Thank you, Lord. Guide us today, make the best decision for Columbia County. Your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Our flag's back here on the flag. Hold on.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or deletions to the?
No, sir.
Have no additions. I ask for motion approved. Have a motion and a second to approve agenda. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Motion to.
Okay, we got public hearings here. Karen Akins, Sloop Planning Technician. Karen, you pretty today. You got to be overnight.
Okay, good evening, Commissioner. Good evening. We got one item for your consideration. We got a special permit application for the Swanee Valley Resort. This is in the Mission Carnell district. They're going to have a music fest on October 2nd through the 5th. For y'all that don't know, it's a totally private campground up there. It's fully fenced, and they've had this for several years. The reason they come to us this year is they need to go, or would like to go, 1 hour beyond the designated noise ordinance. So they want to go to 11 p.m. So that's what they're asking for. This was heard by P&Z on the 28th, and they approved it through resolution 2025 R41. So they're asking for your consideration to approve their event.
All right, this time I'll open public hearing. Is there anybody who wants to speak on this? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve SB or special permit 250801.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All in against? Okay.
Thank you.
David Krause.
Yes, the next public resolution is a resolution on 2025 R36. And before I start, I just want to thank everybody for finding it over here. We apologize for having to relocate. School board just bumped us. So it is what it is. But thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Resolution number 2025 R36 is a resolution on the Pine Ridge Court MSBU Local Improvement Maintenance Fund. Probably turn around and see it better this way. As you can see, it is basically no change. Rate change is what it was last year. So for the improvements, it's $90.10 per dwelling unit. For the maintenance, it's $130.17. Again, there's no change from last year's assessment.
All right, I'll open a public hearing on Pine Ridge Court MSBU. Would anybody like to speak on this? Seeing no one, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025 R-36.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
So the next one is resolution number 2025 R37. It's the Spring Hollow Street Lighting MSBU. Same sort of situation. It generates roughly $2,109. There is no rate change that's proposed, so it will be $55.50 per dwelling unit.
I'll now open public hearing on resolution number 2025 R37 Spring Hollow Street Light. Anybody want to talk about that? Seeing no one, I'll ask for a motion on resolution number 2025 R37.
Motion to approve 2025 R-37.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
So the next item is 2025 R38. It is the same sort of thing, but it is for the Carolyn Heights Street Lighting MSBU. It'll generate $2,442, and it is $74 per dwelling unit, same price as it was last year. No rate change.
All right. Some public hearing. Would anybody like to talk about this? I'm open public hearing. All right, seeing no one, I'm gonna close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
All right, motion second. Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
So the next one is resolution 2025-R33. Emerald Lakes Street Lighting MSBU. It'll generate about $8,977.80. There is no rate change from last year, so it will stay at $46.04 per residential dwelling unit.
I'm gonna open public hearing on the Emerald Lake Street Lighting and MSBU. Would anybody like to comment? Seeing no one, I'll close the hearing. Ask for a vote.
So moved.
Second. Everybody in favor? Aye. Everybody opposed? Motion passes.
The next one is the resolution 2025-R-35. It is for the Laurel Lake Street Lighting MSBU. It will generate $4,148.59. There is no rate change, so it will remain at $118.53 per dwelling unit.
Okay. I'm gonna open public hearing on Laurel Lakes. Anybody like to comment? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
So the next one is a new one. This one did not exist last year. It is resolution 2025-R-34. It is the Forest Cove Subdivision Maintenance MSBU. Like I said, this is a new one. It will generate $2,800 for stormwater management services and $4,340 for roadway maintenance. Again, this is the initial assessment. It works out to be about $200 per residential dwelling unit for stormwater management and $310 per residential dwelling unit for roadway maintenance.
I'll now open hearing for Forest Cove Subdivision Maintenance. Would anybody like to speak on that? Seeing no one, I'll ask for a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
The next one is resolution 2025-R-40. It is on solid waste collection. Basically, we did the solid waste study. We talked about it one time earlier, then we also discussed it at the workshop. The estimated revenue is $4,423,905. Works out to be an increase of only $12.09 per dwelling unit. So your total cost would be $210.15 per dwelling unit for garbage pickup.
I'm open to public hearing on this. Anybody got a comment?
Do you know why? Even it's lower.
The reason it I'm sorry.
Public
Oh, come on up.
I'm sorry.
Come on up. Come on up.
No objection, just to,
Just give your name to the clerk.
Domenico Dorazio.
Okay. You got that? That was a tough one. What we want,
Just to know why, I mean, this is a increase.
$12? Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal, but, you know,
How much of the fire assessment do we,
this is solid.
solid waste do we, I know that we don't always, we go up, but we don't go to where they tell us to go. How much was the targeted fire assessment? Do you remember?
The maximum adopted, do you remember what it was, Lisa?
That, and I'll say something while she's figuring.
No, the maximum that we advertised.
Oh, it was 210.15 was the maximum that we advertised.
So basically, we hire a company. This time it was a different firm than we usually use. And they calculate based on the cost of operating the landfill, what it would take in terms of the residential pickup to recoup those costs. And they determined that it would be $210.15 to recoup the costs.
Is that right? I don't think that's what we advertised.
No, I don't think that's what we advertised.
On the sheet, on the sheet they sent out?
The trim versus.
Oh, the trim notes, is that what it was?
Mr. Chair.
You go ahead.
So the county contracts with a solid waste pickup provider, you know, the waste truck they come out and pick up for you, that's a cost. That's unit for unit based on, you know, curbside pickup.
And so when you pay this amount, you're paying for that, but we also have a landfill enterprise fund. And so the county has its own landfill. We're kind of unique in that regard. This helps offset some of that cost. So when they figure out the total cost of that contract, the total cost of running that landfill for the year, minus all the money we do get from tippage revenue and all that kind of stuff, they figure out that number, then they figure out how many residential units we have, they divide that number. So that's where you get a range of available increases. And what the commissioners are trying to tell you is they could have gone much higher, but they've chosen to pull it down, and they've been assured by landfill enterprise and everybody that this can work. So it is an increase. Nobody wants to ever see anything go up. It's the smallest increase they could reasonably approve.
I would add also, Swanee County don't do curbside pickup, they do collection sites, and they get approved, I believe it was 265.
So they don't even pick your trash up. You have to take it to them.
Yeah.
So I'm just we try to compare it to other counties around us, and I think it's $10 or $11 every time they pick it up. I think it adds to, but trash service is a pass through. You know, we used to do dumpsters, and people didn't like that. So, but we're trying to make it slow. But used to, commissioners would say no, and then 7, 8 years they'd go up $80 or $50, and we just don't want to hit people with something.
And we do rebid this contract next year, so
Yeah.
we don't have any idea what it's going to be.
Yeah, and we rebid the contract, and believe me, our rate, we've looked all around the state, and our rate is, we got lucky because we bid it in a time that they kind of bid low. We got lucky because there's other counties paying as much as $20 a person picking up. We're paying 10 or 11. So I believe the trash could go up when we get our new bid, you know. It's just the cost of,
That is next year, right, Joe? We did this?
Yes, sir.
it's the cost of hiring people, it's the cost of gas, cost of, you know, the $15 minimum wage. I mean, it's from a trash company. It's not our money. We don't keep that money. It's pass through expense.
Thank you.
Thank you, though. Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public hearing on the solid waste collection. We'll get a motion. Second. I'll move. Motion and a second on the solid waste. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed.
So the next one is resolution number 2025 R39 on fire protection services. As you can see, what was advertised, it was sent out the maximum based on a study that was performed, could have been as high as $339.41 for residential unit. Board of County Commissioners in their workshop said they recommend going up a little bit every year rather than going up a huge amount at any one time. So they said, what did we do last year? We did $10 per household last year. So as you can see, the rates that they're proposing are $303.98 for residential, whereas last year it was $293.98. I've got a full complement of what the schedule was last year if anybody needs to see it.
So those things, I understand why people, when they get this form, and we've talked to the state about these forms, it looks like we're raising it up to 339. You know, it looks like we're raising it more than we do. It's just the way they do the forms, and I don't like them, and nothing we can do about it. But I'll open public hearing on fire protection services. Anybody like to speak on it? Is this 3 minutes? This is not really 3 minutes. They can raise Cain all they want.
I don't want to
You're gonna let them talk.
But I do appreciate
Name,
not 3 minutes.
Yeah, one at a time.
Not a problem. I'll be doing most
You
of
give
it.
us your name and then
I
he'll
am the
come.
female, I'll do most of
Yeah.
it.
We married, we know, and I'm.
Okay, got it. So my name is Paula Miller and I am with Freeman RV Resort. Our assessment went up about $10,000 this year for what you guys sent us. Last year was a beginning year for us. There was moments of, what am I paying $16,000 for? Don't have enough time to even think about it, put it away and get on with life. We'll say that last year's profit and loss, we lost $81,000, which $16,000 of it is probably towards y'all. not a problem. We'll figure that one out. What happened this year, though, is when we saw the bill go up by $10,000, I wanted to understand it a little bit better. So I actually got the regulations and I got the assessments, if you will. You guys approved it on July 17th. In it, I called our RV association, and we are part of the Florida Alabama Association, and they said that this is an issue throughout the state. Most counties are not doing it in the way that you guys are doing it. No biggie, we're not here to debate that. What happened though is that I started looking through this, and on page 16, it says the square footage should be determined by the using of structures within the parcel. And the RVs are assigned as commercial, not a problem. I kind of disagree with it because you're lumping them in with commercial as in a motel, hotel, apartment complex. RVs are separated. Our RVs are separated by 45 feet. I'm going to use an old name here, Boozer, Chief Boozer. And I in school, he told me if the portables were farther than 20 feet, that they weren't as likely to catch on fire. In fact, it was probably not going to happen. So 45 feet is double that. You guys are doing it by state legislature. I'm not going to go there. I disagree with state legislator at that point in time, not you guys. But you're lumping us under commercial. The commercial rate is 0.1825 per square foot of structure. Additionally, you assigned, or not you assigned, but the people that did the assessment assigned the square footage of 382.5. This is on page 26 or 16, no, 16 of your own assessment. And they said that that was the maximum RV. That is not the average, that is the maximum RV. Square footage that was that. Given that, an RV park like ours with 100 square feet or 100 spots times 382.5 times 1.825 should equal $6,980. And yet the assessment is saying that we're going to owe $26,000. I'm questioning a lot, but I won't go there here because this is the county commissioners and I understand you guys are going by legislatures and so on and so forth. But the math doesn't work for me. I am a mathematician. It is actually my primary job, is math. And we're looking at almost 4 times what per your own assessment says we should make.
Okay.
Just pointing that out.
Let me ask David.
So, first of all, the 0.1825 was the maximum they could charge. If you look at the second chart, they're only charging 0.1635. So that'll help you a great deal. They're not charging the 0.1825. If you have an issue with how your property is assessed, I'm guessing you should probably talk to the property. Or wait a second.
Well, that is the question. Is
Can you give your name to?
Sure. So my name is Jeff Rackley with Stan Tech. We assisted the county with the study. I think the issue is.
Hold on a second. You don't back away, like stand over here and look at him and him come close to the microphone, because I don't know how well that's picking up and all the people.
So I think the issue is that historically, the RV spaces have been assessed 1,200 square feet. The decision was made this year to go down to 382.5. The notices that went out and the way everything's coded in the tax collector's data, I believe is still at the 1,200 square feet. So on the final roll, they will make that reduction and bring that down.
Okay.
Do
you know how much that'll be? You have that calculation?
probably about
about a
6,000.
fourth.
Yeah, about a fourth, which is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When so I do math. That's my love. Except
So
for
are we
my
right
husband.
now? Are we closer to the habit?
As long as my understanding is that I had to bring this up to you guys here in order to have any say so later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Otherwise,
you
I
want-
wouldn't have been.
You always want to put it on the public.
Okay,
Yeah.
on a public, there seems to be a calculation error. If what you're saying is fine, we're great.
Okay.
Yeah,
God bless you.
it's not,
You're
it's
good.
And we
technically,
don't even mind paying for fire.
Hold on.
I was just gonna say, it's technically not a calculation error. The decision wasn't fully made at that point, and we wanted to notice with a higher amount so that they could come down if they needed to.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
if we,
point
if
of
we,
notices, so it's good you pointed this out, came, and they'll fix that on the final, assuming they adopt this as is with the 382
and we'd rather go down than up.
as it,
Right.
as is for
Well,
these rates.
And so you understand, that's kind of where our, the association
We're
is
good.
at, is like, you should be charged for your square footage, not for your lot size.
Hmm.
And if that's the direction you're heading, we love you all, goodbye.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else would like to speak on the fire protection service? So our total we went up was how much? I want to make sure we say that. Oh, okay. There's nobody else. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. How much was our total before we vote?
So
I just want to make sure we put that out there where people understand these forms.
So you went up on a single family residence, $10.
$10. Okay, that's what I want everybody to know. All right, I'll hereby close the hearing. Fire protection services. Can I get a motion? Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
So the next public hearing is a public hearing to adopt the fiscal year 2025-26 millage rate. That's what they base property taxes on. This is the first public hearing for the millage rate. There will be a second public hearing on the millage rate, unlike the other resolutions that we talked about. That'll be in 2 weeks, again at 5:30 at night. The taxing authority is the Columbia County Board of County Commissioners. The gross taxable value as certified by the property appraiser on our forms that are submitted through the state is $4,683,192,926. Because the board is setting the rate at 7.8150, which is the current rate, 7.8150. There's no change in the rate. The rollback rate would have been 7.3515, so it basically works out to be a 6.37% increase over the rollback rate. So the tax rate remains the same, 7.8 if adopted, 7.8150. And again, we will have a second public hearing on this in 2 weeks.
And before I put this in the public hearing, I want to make you understand, we are not raising property taxes in the military. That is not happening. It's hard to understand some of this stuff. They're not being raised. In fact, we rolled them back 3 years ago. So I'll open public hearing on the adoption of millage rate. Anybody want to talk? Come on down, Steve.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have a question. I'm confused. You could use the rollback rate, even though you don't raise the millage rate. The taxes that you collect still go up because the property gets appraised for more. So people's taxes do go up based on the appraisal.
Or you add more to the tax rate. Yeah. That's what happens usually. You add property to the tax rate.
So, thank you very much for that. So the taxes go up, even though you say you're not raising the rate, people pay more taxes. I can look at my bill, I know I pay more taxes. And some counties do give lower the taxes because as the tax rate increases, as the revenue increases for the county, they return that to the taxpayer. Because as Mr. Ford has said time and time again, you know, we contribute to like Ellisville, utilities, and this thing and that thing. We get all this extra revenue. It would appear to me that this would be the time that the taxpayers would get some of that money back, but they're not. My other question is this: all the special money that you give out to like Swanee Valley Transit and all those agencies, where is that in these resolutions? Is that part of the tax rate, or is that coming up separately?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
that is part of the budget hearing.
Well, I
So
was just,
that's coming up. It's part of the actual
That's coming up in
budget.
the budget.
so if some of those things weren't allowed, then the tax rate could go down, or the taxes could go down. So my point is this, I'm only concerned about Swanee Valley Transit. And the other ones, apparently, it was determined a while ago that if you came to the county for money, just like I'm standing here now, you had to make a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners. That seemed reasonable. If you're asking for the county for free money, you know, and you have a good reason, and the county decides to give it to you, you should at least show your face. Well, some agencies, when you had that hearing to the county, they didn't show up. So I'm curious to see that list, to see if those people that didn't show up are going to get money. Mr. Murphy made a pretty big thing about that. The other thing is, and Mr. Foreman may be able to help us on this, it seemed a while ago that if you were gonna ask for money, you either had to have a financial statement or an audit presented to the county to just ask for money. You just can't show up. Well, maybe you can in Columbia County, just show up and ask for money with no background information. And here's the issue with Swanee Valley Transit, and then I'm done. At the last hearing, Swanee Valley Transit presented a letter to the county. Somebody held up the letter. And Mr. Foreman said they were under contract to provide that money. So before the budget hearing, what I'm asking, I'll just make a public records request to the board and Mr. Foreman. I don't recall the first time that was a contract. They just agreed, the county just agreed to give them that extra money because the county could. And I believe at that time, and I'll go back and check, Mr. Foreman, I don't believe they showed up at that time either. But I'm concerned about this time.
Mr. Chair, wait, what do you mean extra money?
Well, they get $52,000 to $65,000 based on a letter that they asked for money.
Right.
All those agencies that give money, there's a letter, if you look at the last hearing.
Right. Swanee Valley is different. Swanee Valley is different because it was formed by that 3-county interlocal agreement that has a per capita annual appropriation amount. And I think we tried to renegotiate that several years ago. It died on the vine, I think, in Hamilton County. But the interlocal is like decades old. And it's that interlocal agreement that we continue to fund. I'm not aware of any other basis to provide them money.
Well, I'll look that up, but you said it was a contract?
Well, it's an interlocal agreement,
I
so it's a
don't,
contract. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't, if you recall, when I'm done, that everybody's complaining about the interlocal agreement because it's decades and decades old.
It is very old.
And I would just advise you guys that that's the agreement that the North Florida Water Utility Authority is based on. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Not that draft of it.
Yeah.
Do I have anybody else? Come on. Tell us your name.
Brandon Davis.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of new to these whole tax things.
Yeah.
I'm a new homeowner, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're not increasing?
Okay. Wait, if you want to explain it, Joe, but I can. We are not increasing the millage rate. Millage rate is kind of a hard thing to understand, even for me. It is the rate at what we tax the amount of money your house is worth. So we're not changing that. If your house didn't go up in value, your taxes wouldn't go up. Am I correct? Your taxes would not go up. It's kind of like saying we're gonna tax you based on whatever your house is worth. If your house went down in value, we would tax you less. What I'm saying about the millage rate is the millage rate, we rolled it back 3 years ago because we thought we could afford it then, and we did it. And it's a tough decision to make, but we did it because it was a way to help people, and it's helped them every year. It's still it is lower than it would be. In other words, I don't think it tunes about $1 million or something like that it saves taxpayers. So what it is your house was assessed more money. That's why I went up. Same as my house, and probably everybody in here.
So, but then there's a difference in the millage rate and assessments like garbage.
Right.
Your fire protection.
Yeah.
That's
I
an assessment.
all that in equity.
Yeah.
I told them I didn't want a fire truck. It's like,
Yeah. But you're gonna get it anyhow. So
I ain't calling till there ain't nothing left.
you got good insurance.
Yes.
But that's it's kind of hard to understand, but it is the percentage we tax you on every $1,000.
So when you go down, you pay sales tax, right?
Yeah.
It's like 7.5%.
This is kind of like the sales tax, but on your house that you've already paid for. Okay, and we all understand that's how it works. The property appraiser is going to look at how much your house is worth. We're going to set a rate as a board on what that annual ad valorem is going to be. It's high sales tax. So if it's $100 worth of value and it's a 7.5% sales tax rate, it's 7.5 cents, right? That number gets determined by the property appraiser. It then gets transmitted to the tax collector. You pay the tax collector disperses money back to the county, and that's how we fund services. Mr. Loder's correct in that revenues go up. Even though the rate doesn't get increased, new real estate comes onto the tax roll, goes from public sector to private sector, or it sells. Every time you sell a house, the property appraiser is going to come in and say, well, what did it sell for? Because if it sold for more than what I had it on the books, I'm going to raise it up. So we do, it absolutely taxes in terms of dollars and cents absolutely go up. The concept there though is so does the cost of everything else. Right?
Well, that's pretty obvious. I mean, it concerns me because when I bought my house, I bought it on what I could afford. So my mortgage was $1,275.
Yes, sir.
July 1st of last year, my mortgage went to $1,750 because of insurance.
Insurance, gotcha.
So,
Insurance is bad.
well, the taxes went up on it too.
Are you taking your exemptions? Your
Yes, I got my, even my mortgage company called me and asked me if it was home or exempt because the taxes were off a lot. My property taxes on an acre of land is $3,200 a year.
With your house. With your house on there.
That's a mobile home. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath mobile home.
Well, they probably assessed.
How many bedrooms?
5-bedroom.
Good Lord. I didn't know they made none that big.
So,
Yeah.
so Joe, explain about if you're homesteaded, you're, saying you can only go up for
Your homestead, you get it.
Yeah, you get there's a protect our homes or save our homes or whatever. Yes, so you're insulated so long as you continue to own that home from any kind of a dramatic increase. So let's say there's a huge bump in the market and everybody's house value went up 25%. If it's your homestead and you're there, property appraiser can't do that.
It goes up a certain percentage.
I think it's 3.5%.
I think it's around
can't
3%.
remember. I wouldn't want to say anything, but we do.
Don't hold me to that. I believe it's
Well,
3.5%.
no, I was just curious about it because, I mean, if I go having to pay, $2,000 or $2,200 for a mobile home, I might as well just give up. It ain't worth it.
Well, then your insurance is probably spiked pretty good too.
And the fact that it's a life home, so it wasn't worth putting there to begin with.
Does your mortgage company give you a choice on your insurance who you can use? Or?
So the problem I face with that is the fact that everybody you call does not insure mobile homes.
That's right. I guess
So
that's true.
the few places that I have found that covers mobile homes don't do flood insurance. And unfortunately,
Oh, you're
because
paying flood insurance.
No wonder.
I was wondering how you got to that number.
my neighbor's house had me having to carry flood insurance because a fraction of my master bedroom sat in what they call the flood zone. When he bought his property after I bought mine, he had all that taken off of his place, so he didn't have to pay flood insurance, but I'm still having to pay it.
Because your mortgage.
Because so I have to pay to have my property reevaluated to try to get it taken off.
Don't we have engineers for that?
Yeah, so
they're
it's
very
like
expensive
400,
process.
like $450 to have it resurveyed.
Wow, that's a good money spent.
Yeah, so that's just what I was concerned with.
Oh, man.
Much more on.
Thank you. I think that's your key.
That insurance, a lot of people are in that same boat right now with that, with their mortgage. What
Yeah.
called the insurance.
It's stupid. It's, but appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else talk about adopting millage rate?
So it's just a question.
Okay.
The rollback rate
You don't
of
need that, please.
Laurie Aikens. The rollback rate is 7.35. Why can't we go back to that? Explain.
What the rollback rate is if the revenue stayed absolutely the same, there were no increases in revenue, that's what the rate would be.
Revenue for the county?
For property tax. So it generates a certain amount, which we'll talk about at the next public hearing. The rollback rate says you will generate the exact same amount you generated the year before. So there's no increase in revenue, and that would be the rollback rate.
But we're increasing in revenue.
The revenue
Right,
will increase.
because values have increased and there's new property that have been added to the tax rolls.
So
And
when
every
new houses get built and stuff like that, that's added to the tax.
And that takes.
So that brings on new revenue.
So we can't go back.
Well, you can, but
Yeah, but
you can't afford to go back.
we might have to
Well,
stop.
we
paving
can't
roads.
afford to pay.
We have to
So-
provide services.
And this
that-
county is having more and more homeless people, more and more homeless in this county.
You know what?
Your evictions are up and people can't afford to live in the county. I mean, you want to run us all out, y'all ain't gonna have a damn job. So the rollback rate, if you can go back, I think it's something, we did it because trying to help people out. Well, people need help now. A lot of people need help now. I just think you need to consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to adopt anything? All right, seeing no one, I'll ask for a motion. I'll close the hearing and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
So the next one is the 2025-26 millage rate for the MSTU Columbia County Industrial. On the North Florida Mega Industrial Park, it is a separate taxing district. This tax only affects those properties in the North Florida Mega Industrial. So for most of you, it would not affect you at all because you don't live in the industrial park. Having said that, this is the first year it's being charged. The previous rate was 0. Again, this is the first public hearing. There will be a second public hearing in 2 weeks at 6:30 p.m. here at the school board. The taxing authority is the Columbia County Board of County Commissioners. The gross taxable value today in the industrial park is $2,716,408, which means the current millage rate being 0, the proposed millage rate being 7.8150, which is the same millage rate that's charged in Columbia County. The rollback rate of 0 would be 100% increase over the rollback rate because there was no rollback rate. And so it's open to public comment.
Open public hearing. If you want to come talk about, I'll open the hearing for millage rate for the municipal service tax unit at the industrial park. Come on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How much does the county anticipate collecting at the industrial park on this new tax?
David, you got
Actually, it's a couple of public hearings from now. Whoop, just passed. Sorry, I apologize. Could you pull that back up, Patrick? It's about $21,000. Right now, all the land in there is either timberland or projects that are under construction.
And how many people are paying that tax right now?
It would be 3 people,
Three
3 companies.
3 companies.
It would be Weyerhaeuser, the AgriLiquid, and it would be Inslee Rail.
There's only one company right now. It's the other ones. The rail is not really a company, it's the rail. And there's only one industrial company now that's paying the tax.
That is correct.
And
Well, the rail does pay tax.
no, I get that part. So as far as the budget, that revenue is anticipated in the budget, just the 26,000 or whatever you just said?
They get their own budget,
Right, they have their own budget.
Right.
So
I got
yes,
you.
and you'll see that when we have the public hearing on their budget, exactly what it is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, would anyone else like to speak on that? Industrial park? I'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, for the benefit of those who are here, the concept of the MSTU is to capture the money that's necessary to maintain that industrial park and make sure the people that are using the industrial park and benefit are paying for it, rather than the rest of the taxpayers paying to keep up the roads and stuff like that. This way, those companies put their money in and we make sure the park gets maintained that way. That's what an MSTU is. That's why it's separate.
So that you, the general public, aren't paying for
Businesses
the
to
maintenance
run.
and repair in the industrial. Only those people that benefit.
Does anybody else want to talk about it? I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
So now we get into the budget. And this will also be a public hearing. The issues in this year's budget We tried to limit increases in operating costs, but there were increases in our utility costs. We have to pay FP&L, we have to pay Duke, we have to pay the internet bill, communications costs. But beyond those things that we can't control, we tried to limit the cost increases as much as possible. We did an increase, as we just talked about, for dwelling unit of 1209, which was on solid waste. We did increase the fire assessment $10 per year. We were estimating that. And so that was kept relatively low. There is a 2% salary adjustment for employees across the board. The utility operations were transferred to the North Florida Water Utility Authority. And we also have a utility agreement with the city of Lake City, transferring operation industrial park utilities to them. So that reduced the cost that we spend on utilities. Animal enforcement had to add kennels. That was a cost we had to consider. This year is the first year the clerk's office made us add another fund. So we have capital projects in a capital project fund and resurfacing in a resurface fund. This year the clerk said, nope, that's not going to work. You need to have a third fund, and that third fund is the road construction fund. So to get into that, you'll see that there's this brand new fund to cover any road construction projects. We went to a full-time veteran service officer. Currently, we have 2 part-time. We were making one of them a full-time veteran service officer because we feel he's been doing a great job. He provides a lot of benefit to the community, and we want to be able for him to provide more benefit to the community and the veterans that we support. So he will be going full-time if adopted. And then succession planning. We have a lot of people who are aging out and going to be retiring, so we have to plan for what's going to happen when they retire, who can take their place, so we don't lose that institutional knowledge. So some of the strategies we used to limit the expenses was we paid off some debt. Because if we paid off the debt, then the money we spend every year on payments to debt can be freed up to spend on other things. It becomes reoccurring money. So we wanted to have that reoccurring money because we knew we had a big bill to pay with law enforcement. We reduced funding to recreation agencies. Those outside agencies that were talked about before, those recreational agencies, we cut the funding for that. We pooled it all in one spot so that those agencies that didn't show up at the hearing didn't get funded. Anybody who wants to be funded, if you're a recreational agency, you have to basically apply for the funding. We had a lot of new requests by outside agencies. We did not fund any new requests from outside agencies. So there were several of them that came and said, you know, you've never funded us before. We really would like funding. They did not get funded in the floor budget. We're renegotiating our insurance renewals to reduce costs. Like I said, a little to no growth in department spending, and we limited new capital projects. We're just not doing as many new projects as we usually do. And again, this was because we knew it was going to be a tight year. We did lose some revenues from the state. Lost $600,000 in business rental taxes. Growth in revenues was not what it usually is. So we knew it was a tight budget, so we had to cut back on a lot of things. There were just some things we couldn't. Again, this is a proposed budget. This is the floor budget. You will have a public hearing on this budget immediately following the presentation. And then the board will have 2 weeks, and then they'll have a second public hearing. So you get 2 cracks at this. So in general, you can see we have 18 different funds that we create budgets in the general, what you consider the general government. And you can see we went from 217 million down to 214 million through all 18 funds. So the ones that you pretty much know about, are interested in, this is a new slide because the old slide didn't make sense to people. The ad valorem property taxes went up from $33,898.72 to $36,599.153. The total general fund revenues, this is just the general fund, which is where your property taxes go, went from 47 to basically $52 million. So where is that money getting spent? General government. General government includes the Board of County Commissioners, the clerk, the courts, the property appraiser, supervisor of elections, county attorney, tax collector, IT, HR, and those types of agencies. It went from 12 million to 13 million. The sheriff's office went from 20 million, 20.8 million to 23.9 million. 911 communications, your dispatch went from 3.5 to 3.8. Landscaping and parks went from 2 million to 2.1 million. Animal enforcement went from 904,613 to 1,348,000. Medicaid, what we have to pay the government for Medicaid went up from 1.6 million to 1.97. We have to cover it. We don't have a choice in that one. And then organizational support, which is the outside agencies and that sort of thing, went from 302,000 to 207,000. So those are what's paid out of your general fund. Now, property taxes are not the only revenues in the general fund, but your property taxes, that's how it was spent out. Now, we talked about we have 18 total funds. The other major funds that you might have interest in would be the Transportation Trust Fund. That's your public works. That's your shoulders, streets, drainage, road paving, all that kind of fun stuff. It went from 14.2 to 15.3. The MSTU, which is a municipal, it's actually MSBU, I apologize for the typo, it's Municipal Benefit Service Area. It went up, but what you know in that is building and zoning went up from 1.3 to 1.6. Fire and rescue went from 8.68 to 8.596. There was a reduction in fire and rescue. The reason being is we paid off the debt. So they had a debt on some earlier trucks. We're paying it off, so we no longer have to make those debt service payments. It helped us reduce the total cost in the fire budget. And then paramedics and opioid. This is something that went up significantly because we were being given money from a lawsuit settlement. There's actually 4 different settlements that we're dealing with right now, and it's funding the opioid paramedicine program. It's a very good program where they go out and the chief, if you want to talk to him, he can explain what they do to all the people, for all the people in the community that need the help. They respond to, like I said, it's all based on the opioid court settlements. Library went from 2.0 to 2.1. TDC went from 1.9 to 2.08. They get paid primarily through the bed tax, which means people who stay in hotels fund the TDC. That was another revenue source that actually did well this year, but it can only be spent on tourist-related expenses. Economic development went from 1.75 to 1.829. Utilities went from 17 million down to 6.5 million. And that's because we are turning over the management of the utilities to either the utility authority or the city of Lake City. With that, they of course take all the rates and revenues and everything else. So, and then the landfill went from 3.8 to 4.8. So the 3 other ones are the capital projects ones. Like I said, we had 2 previous years. Now we have 3. It still stays about roughly $45 million a year we do in capital projects. But as you can see, the capital project side is only about 9.6 million. County-wide road resurfacing and road construction is the major part of the capital projects we fund. We do a lot funding those projects. So that's the next one. So with that, I believe we have a public hearing on the budget. It's the first public hearing on the adoption of the FY 2025-26 annual budget.
Okay, I'll open public hearing on the adoption of that fiscal year 2025-26 annual budget. Would anybody like to speak about it? Oh, come on. Don't, yeah, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Somebody needs to ask some questions about the budget. I have a couple of questions. I'm covering Columbia County since about 2006. Those may remember back in around 2010, 12, 13, 14, and before, Columbia County used to have a slush fund for the county commissioners. Each county commissioner, this was before your time, Mr. Hollingsworth, each county commissioner would get $250,000 a year, and that would go into their fund. And they could either spend it or not spend it. Sometimes they would accumulate funds. And one example of spending on that is in Commissioner Ford's district. when the county repaved Heflin the first time was the same time the county repaved 138 in the south end of the county. Place a lot of people forget about Columbia County. And at that time, that road was paved, and that money came out of Commissioner Weaver's fund, call it what you will, discretionary fund, slush fund, and I understand from speaking to the neighbors there at that time that the reason that road was paved because one of the people that had connections in Columbia County complained that dust got on a car. So if you look at that road's paved and then over a little way, another road's paved and it's all dirt roads in between. Very little traffic. And recently that road was repaved again. I don't know where the money came from. It clearly did not need to be repaved, but it was. It was other roads that needed to be repaved in Columbia County. My question is now, instead of a Columbia County Commissioner slush fund, it appears the county now has a road fund, which I believe now is somewhere in this budget at about $4 million.
Countywide resurfacing is 7.950.
Does that include the $4 million in the road fund?
Part of that is the annual appropriation
For the road
for
fund.
resurfacing.
And I'm not exactly sure. It'd be nice if somebody would explain how that money is distributed. I know Mr. Foreman mentioned it. There was something that came up late in one meeting. And Mr. Foreman said we could just take the money out of the road fund. I forget what it was for. I would have to go back and check my notes. But that's where the last, which caught my eye about this new road fund.
I referenced year-end funds.
No, it was before that. But whatever, I'm gonna find it.
Okay.
So that was mentioned. My question is now is, how is this money distributed? Does each county commissioner get $1 million? I know they wanted to increase it. I believe it was $3 million before, and then it went to $4 million. And it would make sense that it was $5 million, because that would be $1 million for each commissioner. Right? I mean, there's 5 commissioners. I can count 5 fingers on one hand. So maybe you could explain. No,
Can you hear us? I'm sorry.
I can hear you. So just so everybody knows, Mr. Kraus was explaining to Mr. Foreman that it used to be $3 million, the road fund, and then it got increased to $4 million.
Well, to be fair, my question was, what is he talking about?
Well, so you know, man. So you know, it used to be the slush fund, and now it's the road fund. My question is this: how is that money distributed? I mean, there was a lot of concern with the sheriff asking for money for road deputies, and nobody had any money in the county. But at the same time, the county commissioners are approving a fund that nobody has explained how that money is distributed. It appears to be only for county commissioner use. And I believe Mr. Parnell, you asked about that, and they said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna go back and check. You may remember, I mean, there's 5 of you, and nobody remembers, huh? Go back and check. But how is that money distributed in that $4 million road fund, which appears to be only for county commissioners? And just one more thing before I sit down. So the taxing fund that you folks explained before, which collects $21,000 out of the $2 million which you were supposed to collect, it was full. Everybody was in the fund. Who does the county only expend $21,000 a year on road maintenance and maintenance in that industrial park? I led the record for those people that can't see in the back. Mr. Foreman is shaking his no. How is the county making up for those additional funds? And what part of the budget did this come from? So it's 2 questions, Mr. Chairman. One, how is that $4 million distributed? And basically, where does it come from? And number 2, in this budget, to make up the difference in the industrial park, because the $21,000 you collect does not cover all the expenses in the industrial park, where does that money come from? I think that's pretty clear.
No, the 21,000 should cover the expenses.
Of the whole industrial park?
Just for annual maintenance.
For annual maintenance, as long as it gets larger, more come in, but right
I'm just
now,
asking.
it's more businesses come, they pay more taxes,
So just.
so they don't have to.
Mr. Chairman, that is actually the next agenda.
Okay.
So it is,
We'll
but
explain
again, MSBUs and MSTUs our increment funds, kind of like TIP. Okay, well, so it's small now, but it will build reserve funds over time. We don't have to resurface the roads yet, but one day we will. And those roads are fairly intensive because they're gonna have semis and stuff like that. So those funds will be captured over time by that tax base. They will fund the replacement of those roads. That way it doesn't come out of residential road resurfacing and things like that.
And the next year, that money will go into, so we'll be able to see if we had a budget that wasn't the same that the county's been using for the last 30
That's right. So when you look at that MSTU budget going forward year over year, you'll start to see growth in the fund and the reserves and things like it. It's just because it's planned.
I get it. I just was curious. Everybody should know.
It will cover maintenance of stormwater ponds, maintenance of streets, anything that's public county infrastructure.
Thank you. The $4 million, I'll take that at my seat. Thank you very much.
In terms of the $4 million, the county typically adds a budgeted $4 million. It used to be 3, now it's 4. There's some discussion about going up to 5 because this budget was so difficult. We could not go up to 5. We left it at 4. New monies into the countywide road resurfacing. So when you look at the countywide road resurfacing fund, they have a total of $7,950,000. Some of that's money that has not been spent that rolled over from previous year. So that's how much we anticipate doing in terms of resurfacing next year. It is for countywide resurfacing projects. Every resurfacing project has to go before the board and get approved. So it's not, and they try and do resurfacing projects based on need. Throughout the county, every district gets some projects.
And, Chairman, go ahead. He addressed me specifically about this here. So I wanna clear something up. So we have a engineer with the county, and we have a road department superintendent. And I believe it's Pazer rating. So they have roads in every district in the county, and they do a Pazer rating. And they recommend to us what roads to be paved, what roads need to be done right now. That's how we make these decisions. We don't just go out there willy-nilly pick a road and say, we're gonna resurface this road. Our engineer and our road department superintendent gives us a list of roads they recommend in our district that needs to be resurfaced and what they look at is they try to resurface these roads before it does damage to the base, because once it does damage to the base beneath the asphalt, it costs a lot more to resurface these roads, a lot more maintenance. So they give us a list of roads in our district that they recommend resurfacing. And that's how these roads are picked. Not about who lives on the road or who's up to anything else. That's how they're picked.
And I want to say something about that. He said it's for the commissioners, not for the commissioners. It's spread amongst 5 districts, not commissioner money. We don't get any money. What we do is we get a certain amount of money to redo roads in our district. This year, I didn't even know where they were doing them. And all of a sudden they called and said, we need to do these roads. These are a 3-Pazer rating. They need to be done. Contrary to belief, we don't run out and go, okay, my cousin lives on this road. I'm saying that didn't happen 50 years ago, but most of the time they give me the names of the road and I go, sounds good to me. If that's what y'all want to do. And I never mention a road. I get a lot of complaints on the road. I'm not going to hide the fact that I've had complaints on the road. I'm going to call the road department and say, hey, a bunch of complaints on this road. They go, okay, let's look at it. And they say the Pazer rating is low. Now, if it's a 5 or 6, and I've got 23s, I'm going to do the 3s. I'm not going to go do a road, potholes, whatever. But that is not commissioner money. It is county money spent on each district. So it is spread evenly, not amongst commissioners, but amongst our districts. So that's how it works. And I tell you what, if we get 100 million, we might catch up because our roads are one of the biggest complaints I get. Y'all know it, I know it. And compared to Suwannee County road places around us, our roads are wonderful. And I will tell you, I think we're behind on doing roads. And that's why we went, I don't know, what did Kirby say we were behind, he thinks, on maintenance of roads? Like $90 million or something. So yeah, we tried to get another million in there to help people get better roads in their district. So I just want to clear that up. Go ahead.
So for the sake of clarity for the public, where this money comes from, you get local option gasoline sales tax, you get small county surtax, and you get the constitutional gas tax. So these fuel taxes have to go towards roads. You can't use them for other projects. So the question is, how do you allocate them? But it is basically fuel taxes that are paying for the research. So, come on.
Jeff, Todd, my question is this, during the course of the year, in the last year or so, you swore off dirt to pavement because of the problems that you had. We're not doing it anymore. So that should have impacted the budget. If you're not doing any more dirt to pavement,
So,
that,
so let me address that real quick. So, and I want to address it because my district's, more than half the dirt roads in Columbia County is in my district. So the problem with, we do resurfacing, but we do resurfacing through the state scrap stock, and we do, dirt paved conversions on some roads. The problem we have is these older dirt roads that are prescriptive, we don't have enough easement through there to do pavement. So the issue is trying to acquire right of way.
I recall.
That's the problem, trying to acquire right of way. Now, we have subdivisions that have dirt roads in them that have right of way. I mean, we're doing a dirt paved conversion project right now in High Dry Acres in Columbia City. But we didn't have to buy any right of way. That was already a platted subdivision, dirt roads put in years ago, and right of way was there. So we got to, matter of fact, me and Mr. Krause walked those roads and talked to done a survey, and we got a CDBG grant.
Yes.
For $8.5 million to do those roads. But most of the dirt paved conversions we do is paid for with grant from the state, which don't really affect the budget. So, that's why you don't see a big budget reduction when we're not doing as many paved roads. And I don't want to say we're not doing as many. Our problem is though, we got a bunch of dirt roads that's got 40-foot, 50-foot easements. That's been there forever. That you need 80-foot now or 60-foot minimum. So when you start trying to acquire that right of way, you got several people live up and down these roads that say, we don't want pavement, we want to stay dirt. And then you run into a problem. And I think Joel wanted to come up with that a little bit.
So from budgetary impact, dirt paved conversion is many times more expensive than the regular maintenance on paved road.
I want to tell you that each commissioner, if they split, or each district gets what is it, 700 or something, whatever that is. It costs $1.4 million to do one dirt road. 700 or 1 mile, 1 mile, yeah, 1 mile of dirt road. But it's 300,000 or 400,000 to do. I think, is that about right? 300,000 or 400,000 1 mile of repave. So we've kind of shifted our focus to repaves because people on dirt roads never had a paved road, but the people on dirt roads that are used to a paved road are now getting beat as bad as it, you know what I mean? Like, and we can't grade it. So it's one of those things. It's in the big scheme of things, when you think about how much it costs to pave a road, for each commissioner getting 700 or whatever they get, 800,000, whatever, it's just not a lot of roads. It's not a lot of miles of road.
And that's why I said if we do a dirt paved conversion, it's usually through a DOT grant.
It's where the state says that road will benefit the state, and they say, we'll help you pay for it.
So the other thing I wanted to bring up, Mr. Chair, is whenever you pave a road, whenever you go from a dirt to pave, that is a 20-year bill that you're going to have to pay at some point, because at some point you have to resurface that road. The $90 million in backlog is currently paved roads that are due for resurfacing in the next 20 years. So every time you add to that inventory, you add to that $90 million. And so what we're doing now is where we are getting new paved roads is typically in subdivisions. And we're actually, just like we're doing with the industrial park, we're asking the people who move into those subdivisions to pay assessments, to put money aside, so that again, the $90 million backlog doesn't turn into a $100 million backlog, a $120 million backlog. So if you've got about 30 or 40 years of lack of foresight, not in a negative sense, I just don't think people anticipated it, it's all coming home to roost. And so the board's made some decisions, budgets look bad, it's rough. but they are being made with the idea that we have to maintain what we have as best we can.
And if we keep,
Finally, the Church Road conversions, those would not be under resurfacing. Resurfacing money is just repaving money.
That's
Those
the
would be under
$90,000.
the road construction money, and almost all the revenues in the road construction money are grant funds.
So bottom line,
we need our road department manager, that's all out of town, so.
I noticed he's not here. But anyway, bottom line is, although you're not doing your pay, what you said in particular, you were very upset about all that happened with those holdouts. But anyway, you're at question mark. You're not really saving very much by not doing dirt pay.
We're not saving any money.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my question.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Because we're just.
by
spending
right
it on
away,
resurfacing.
by right away, but yeah, it's not, you just spend it on other stuff.
And roads are our number one complaint. I mean, it just is.
That's.
All right,
Got one more.
come on.
Mark Magstead. Out of curiosity, is there anything in the works to get revenue from electric charging units for, since they're not paying a gas tax?
So that is something this board has been pushing for a couple of years. And that's a legislative thing. We ask our delegation about it every year. I don't know if you know Stiles Gutek, our legislative person. He every year goes to Tallahassee and says, you need to do something. EV vehicles don't pay a gas tax. Gas tax is how we pay our roads. The legislature just hasn't approved it. We'll ask for it again this year. Maybe this year they'll do something.
We've asked for it every year.
It's not fair for the people with gas, paying for the people with that. All right. Anybody else want to talk about budget? All right, I'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
I will have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Oh, you still got
Still
the.
got one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, we still got the
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
So this is the budget that Mr. Loker was referring to. This is the MSTU, North Florida Mega Industrial Parkway, Columbia County Industrial Park Taxing Authority, this budget. As you can see, it will generate roughly $21,229 this year. 20,000 basically after you take out the 5%. By law, counties have to not spend 100% of their anticipated revenues. You can only spend 95%. That then gives you a cushion in case something goes wrong, helps you build reserves for hurricanes and those types of things. So you always take whatever you think your revenues are going to be and reduce it by 5%. Having said that, so it's not 20,168. Sounds like not a lot of money. It isn't, because right now, most of the land in the industrial park is timberland. Timberland is not assessed very high, doesn't pay a lot of taxes. You really have two companies there, one whose company isn't built yet, it's still under construction, so its assessment isn't reflected. And the other is the rail, which owns about 30 acres. And the rail does get assessed. How that's done is very complicated. The state basically tells us. So having said that, it's going to generate basically spendable money, 20,168. If there are needs for us to maintain the retention ponds, to maintain the roads, to grade the dirt roads that are in the industrial park, because you have dirt roads like Tire Road that's in the industrial park and some forest roads. That's what that money will pay for. So you as the regular citizens aren't having to pay to maintain infrastructure in the industrial park.
I'll open the public hearing on this already. Does anybody want to talk about it?
You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
Patricia Hatner. I just want to know, because this is all new to us, do y'all have business that's already going in out there to the industrial parks? And where do you go with all this stuff at? I mean, like, how we as the people that live out in that area, how we see what's going to be coming in there? And I mean, I'm all for it, it's just, I didn't know how big of an acreage is it, where does it extend to, and what kind of business are you bringing in there?
I can let David answer, but as a commissioner, it's all kind of businesses. Whoever we can get to produce some more jobs, to help the kids get better jobs in this county, that's what we're trying to do. It's to help us have kids stay here instead of going to Gainesville to work. You know, we want real good paying jobs. And it's a thing that was gone into years ago, and we're finally seeing a little something's happening out there. You know, something's happening, and people are starting to look and starting to come in. We have the one business there now.
One business currently under construction.
Explain that. I don't know. When you say, how do you hear about it? Typically, if you pay attention to our economic development board, they typically bring these up when a new company may be coming, and all that stuff real secretive because companies don't want other people to know. You know, they don't want their competition going and beating. You know what I mean? So in the economic development board, and you'll hear it in the county commission meetings. Hey, we got a new person that wants to come in potentially, and that's how you kind of find out. But we wait for it every day. We want to hear about it too.
Okay. So he won't come knock on my door personally. He's my county commissioner. He won't come knock on my door personally and say, hey, look at this. No.
He's kind of old to be doing that. I may come.
Could you stand up? So this is Jennifer Dane.
Yeah.
She's our economic development.
Hey,
if you get
she'll come knock on your door.
Okay.
She's
So
available.
is there a website? I'm just, you know, like I said, I'm all for it. I think it's gonna be great for the county. As many businesses we can get in there, you know, get people jobs that don't have to drive to Gainesville, Jacksonville, wherever. I just didn't know if y'all had already got like set businesses coming in there.
And you can talk to her about it. She can fill you in from top to bottom. But you're right. And even property values. I own some property out in that area, and property values are starting to go up out there because people are seeing that there's going to be it's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be a big deal for our state.
So
I don't think there's but one other in the state. I think there's two others. Two others, yeah. So this is a big deal.
So we finally got utilities going in the water, so we've got Brio in. So now
we're ready.
So the railroad track that's across 90, that will actually be I mean, I know that's not functional right now, but that will eventually be a functioning railroad.
Yes, ma'am.
There are actually trains going across.
Yeah, they come across now.
What?
Yeah.
And that's when we're all asleep.
They are. They're very strategic.
You asked about how much land is there? I think, what, about 2,900 acres or something like that?
There you go.
26. Hey, you know what? I go back and sit beside her, and you'll get a lot better information.
Yeah. Like I said, I just, you know, because like I said, I think it's wonderful. I think the county needs it. I think it's wonderful. I just didn't know what. You hear things. People say, oh, this is coming, you don't ever see anything. That's like, okay. So, okay, I'll get with her.
She works for the county, so you get her number and you can find out when something's coming.
All right, thank you.
You'll talk to me, you want to talk to me.
You don't have to knock on my door.
You don't have to talk to me. You'll come up.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Maybe that's something you can have our PIO on our website.
Yeah.
That way,
And-
when something's approved,
Yeah.
you put it on the website and that way it's there. Maybe
Yeah,
have a whole
we can do that.
Open up the gates.
Say, do a part update, go to that file, and there it is.
I hope he gets busy doing it. Anybody else on the industrial park?
Daphne Carroll. The industrial park, what do y'all do about polluting the residential around there? Because I know we're fixing to have a meeting next week on this proposed thing that's on Price Creek Road. And I live out there, and I'm not real happy about trying to confiscate that land for that. When it comes to pollution, about residential areas. I mean, they've had issues in the past off of 245A many years ago of some kind of industrial thing out there that polluted the groundwater out there.
That was bad days. Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I've been out there 40 years now, so I'm just curious.
Well, let me answer it just in my opinion because of the way that's going to. A lot of that property, when you first get it, I don't know if you know exactly where it is, but when you pass the sheriff's office, all that on the right is residential.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, in other words, you're kind of going to have a buffer between it and there's not a lot of residential in that area either around the college. So a lot of that land's residential. So the same people the industrial park is going to make sure, because they're going to have people living there that are going to work there, hopefully thousands of people. So there's a lot of residential plans there. So I think that any pollution issue will be covered completely, and we're gonna have sewer, we're gonna have water, there will not be septic tanks everywhere. So you're probably gonna be one of the cleanest places in, around, so.
But we're in our area, we have septic and well.
I-
We're not on the water system.
And you had that place right there on where Bay and 90 meet that was a real bad poisonous place. And it was right across from where I live when I was a kid. We weren't allowed.
So I think place she's talking about is the place that we turned down several years ago for industrial parks right in there behind our piece of property as a county.
245. Yeah, that one that they've been cleaning up.
I know that one on 245A was that area right on that left-hand side that, was real bad. Many years ago.
There used to be a creosote.
Yeah, they got that cleaned up, I think, but you're asking about whether the industrial park will have safeguards.
Safeguards.
I believe they will, because
I mean,
it's.
Everything out there will be DEP permitted.
Yeah, it'll be all DEP permitted. They're gonna watch like hawks, because like I said, they find any pollution, they're gonna lose money in putting all the residential people there. So it would be against anybody that is out there, and us too, to have any pollution going on with it. We want residential people out there.
To help answer your question, to warehouse is the private property owner that owns that. Boy, I sound terrible. They own thousands of acres of timberland there. They wouldn't let us put a spray field for the sewer plant, even though it was going to be temporary, without jumping through a million hoops, because they're very concerned about the remaining timberlands. That park is a postage stamp compared to what they have. Right. And so they're very protected. They've got real fancy attorneys in Seattle who give me a hard time every time we look at anything. So they're going to be paying attention. DEP's going to be paying attention. Water management will be paying attention. I think the things that you've been concerned about, the things that have happened that are different.
Yeah.
It
was many years ago.
Yeah.
When
So I think, I
happened,
mean, you can never say never, but I really feel like the safeguards are there at least to put up the barrier. So hopefully, and I want to say we've turned down some businesses that we did not feel were consistent with that area. So Florida is not usually a heavy industrial development state anyway. So a lot of those kind of companies aren't coming in.
So and Weyerhaeuser is, like he said, probably one of the biggest landowners in the United States of America. So they're up on all the, they're gonna know.
In addition, you will have a buffer between the industrial park and Price Creek Road, and the land that FP&L bought and put in solar.
And if I'm not wrong, 245, I lived down there when I was a little kid, was a creosote plant. Where they did creosote poles, and that was just a bad idea all the way together. And it wouldn't matter where you put it, it was gonna pollute. Yeah, they don't allow creosote.
Yeah, and I live off of Weeks Road, and they have the Wesley's plant out there where the county brings their debris in, and they find all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I still have concerns about pollution out there from his facility. But that was another time, and it got passed, and so I'm just like kind of stuck right there down that road. So, but all right, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on the industrial park? All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
Second.
All right, it's been a motion on adoption of the annual budget for the industrial park. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passed.
Now I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to adopt. Second.
Motion to adopt agenda. I got a first and a I got a first and a second. I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Go Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For your consideration this evening, Resolution 2025 R-42 is a formal resolution for the dissolution of the Columbia County Industrial Development Authority. Well over 10 years ago, Columbia County stopped using an IDA and moved over to an Economic Development Advisory Board. The board adopted a resolution at that time to create the Economic Development Advisory Board and moved all the IDA members that were interested over onto that board. And we effectively stopped using the IDA at that time. Now, we never formally dissolved it with the idea that at some point we might need, an entity to take bonds, industrial development bonds, things like that. That never happened. Y'all remember a few years ago with the Reedy Creek situation, Tallahassee started paying a lot closer attention to special districts. Well, the IDA is one of those special districts, and the statute has very specific reporting requirements about who's on your board, where your money's coming from, where your money's going, things like that. The bottom line is, guys, we didn't report because we weren't doing anything, right? I don't know that I want to point the finger at anybody because it doesn't make, but they still took it seriously when they did get a report in 2023. They're now proceeding in enforcement over in Leon County on that report. It's not a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal, but they do want to see formal dissolution of the IDA so they can take it off their books. That's what the resolution accomplishes. It also authorizes me to negotiate for settlement of the enforcement action in Leon County, which again, I think I can do if this is dissolved. So,
We have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Mr. Ford's a motion, seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
all right. And Mr. Chair, my next item on the agenda is an invitation to participate in a new opioid settlement, multi-jurisdictional national opioid settlement. This is with the Sackler family. If anybody has Netflix, they've probably seen the documentaries about the Sackler family and Purdue Pharmaceuticals and their role in the opioid crisis. The Sackler family has agreed to pay, I want to say $15 billion. I wish my family could pay $15 billion. They're going to pay $15 billion over the course of about 12 years to all participating jurisdictions. This is very similar to the other opioid settlement that we entered into, where we're one of hundreds and hundreds of municipalities and local governments that participate. I imagine that when or if the board decides to participate, the money will flow in much the same way, where it'll go to a fund manager. They'll decide how to spend money locally for opioids prevention, to help Chief Crawford with some things, his fire department, things like that. This won't be money that comes to the Board of County Commissioners. The recommendation is to adopt, because the alternative is you would go out and authorize me to find an attorney to go sue the Sackler family for the county. I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're ever going to want to do that. So this is our best shot at getting some relief from this settlement, and I do recommend approval.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second on the opioid settlement approved. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
And then the next item, commissioners, with everything going on with animal control, animal enforcement, and the Humane Society, we had mentioned at a meeting, I want to say a couple meetings ago, that we would ask the Humane Society to agree to go month to month on their existing contract that expires at the end of this month. I'm happy to report that they did agree to keep basically the same rate structure, same service structure, and go on month to month, that it will be terminable at the county's will. So if we get up to speed on our new enforcement operations and no longer require services, we have the ability to cancel it and terminate it at the end of the next effective month. We did, through the course of negotiation, have good discussions with the Humane Society's executive team. They do understand that under the contract, they're actually supposed to be trying to help us find alternative places to put animals when they're full. We had a good conversation about that. I feel good that we're going to head in the right direction on that. I also want to tell the board at the same time they're considering this, your staff is working to identify alternatives for making sure that we don't have these overcrowding issues until such time as we can get the new kennels up and running that you guys have authorized. So everything's moving relatively quickly, but with as fast as everything's going, we're still probably looking at 6 months. So I do recommend approval of the addendum to extend the contract with Lake City, Columbia County Humane Society on a month-to-month basis, effective October 1st, 2025.
We have a motion. Approve. I'll make a motion. Approve. Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So the next item
Ms. Rocky.
is Rocky.
Rocky Ford. Yeah. So I'm chairman of the Economic Development Board, and I just want to give an update on the Cornerstone project at 4775. So the board did meet last Friday. Mr. Stewart had asked for a 3-year tax rebate on the property. the board voted unanimously to award that to Cornerstone Project. And, we also made a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners match the city's, money that they're putting towards a regional lift station to move this intersection with the utilities forward. So that money will be going, if we approve it, going to the, city of Lake City for a city-owned lift station at this project site that will be a regional lift station that can be used for other businesses in the future on south on 47. That, so it could bring a lot more industry to this intersection than just this Cornerstone project. Miss Jennifer's here. She wants to speak a little bit on this. If you want to fill everybody in on the scoring process and how the project scored, and like I said, we could have, Mr. Stewart could have asked for 8 years with the score that he got. He only asked for 3. I thought he was very generous on that request. So go ahead.
Yeah, Commissioner's correct on that. So when we score the project, we look at several different criteria. It's the same scoring sheet we use for every project that comes to economic development. The criteria that we look at is the capital investment of the project, the jobs that it's going to hire, the wage rate that they're going to pay, and is it a targeted sector? So commercial projects aren't typically considered targeted industries. That's not something that we normally go out and recruit, and because of the wage rates that they pay, right? So typical commercial projects, retail, grocery stores, strip malls, that kind of industry usually pay minimum wage just a little bit above unless you're in management. So they don't typically score very high in those categories. This particular project, because it is a 26-acre commercial development, scored high enough in the capital investment and the number of jobs that they were creating, that technically scored him a qualification of 8 years of a rebate. Really what he needed was the lift station, that final piece of the puzzle that was going to provide sewer to that project. So what we propose is matching the city's contribution for the lift station, because the city will own and operate that. It is designed to the city standards. They're going to own it, they're going to operate it, but it'll also allow for us to connect some of the other businesses going south from 75. So there's several convenience stores, a Subway, a Dollar General, hotels, other businesses on that side that really are looking for solutions to get off of their package plants that are costing them money every year. So this will allow us to extend further south and then start bringing in some residential components, further south, because really that's where all the growth in the county's been, is from 47 south. So this is going to allow the city to extend their sewer. There is a grant pending that if we are awarded, could possibly use that to fund a lift station on the other side to go north towards town. So again, there's possibilities for a couple of different lift stations here that are going to provide growth, keep septics out of the ground, provide some revenue for both the city and the county going forward too. So technically he scored for 8 years. Really the ask was 3, which seemed reasonable to the Economic Development Advisory Board, so they approved that unanimously.
This is not uncommon for the county to team up with the city for utilities. We've done it with water trucking and other projects. Information.
Yeah, absolutely. So Belt Road was a great example of that, right? So the city and county worked together. The city was able to annex in some properties to drive their revenue. But we partnered with them to do the road and all the utilities at the same time to match Warner's timeline for construction. So because of that, it's also allowing us to pursue opportunities to provide utilities through Realm 41. So again, that connection to utilities is allowing for growth bit by bit and in a smart way.
So what we're doing on the south side, and you said maybe a lift station on the north side, is that what you said?
Yes.
On the other side?
If we do get awarded the grant, then there's been conversation about applying those funds to a lift station on the other side.
Because I know there's a lot of turmoil going around about giving somebody tax money, and I would like for Joel to explain that tax deal like he was explaining to me. So everybody will know how this tax payment works.
Yeah, well, so non-abatement, rebate is a
Rebate.
rebate. That's where you always end up going this way with understanding.
Payment is-
So the property currently pays whatever it's assessed at, and that's its base, right? So sitting there unimproved with a retention bond on it, might be worth $100 for property appraisal purposes. What the Economic Development Advisory Board is saying to the developer is for the next 3 years or for the 3 years from the start date, for every dollar you increase the assessed value of that property that you pay taxes on, you'll get that rebated to you. So it has to be paid in, and then the property appraiser will calculate what the increase was and rebate that. So another way, when I was talking to Commissioner Phillips about it, is it's really money you're not going to have otherwise.
Right.
Now, after the 3-year rebate period is over, all those improvements are there and they're on the tax roll forever. So it's a short-term incentive to get the development done, to get the thing built out, to have the amenities come in. And then by making it only 3 years, you also incentivize the developer to hurry up and get busy. Because if it's 10 years, he might develop it slowly. But if it's only 3 years, he wants to develop it as fast as possible to get the largest rebate possible. So that's the structure. One thing I think the Economic Development Advisory Board did was, instead of saying, hey, here's all the money you need for the lift station, y'all negotiated a bifurcation. I know your team participated on that, to say, look, here's what needs to go to the city for the city's part, and then here's the way to get the developer back up to speed for what's left. So that's where I think a lot of people thought that it was a double dip. It's not really. It's, instead of all of it in one pot or the other, it's some of this in this pot, some of this in that pot.
And I'd also like to add, as Mr. Stewart sells property, he no longer gets a tax rebate on those parcels he sells off.
Right.
So he has 26 acres, he sells 10 of it, he's only gonna get a rebate on what if he requested, that's the other part of this, on the 10 acres he still owns. So that also allows for any other businesses that are coming in that are buying their parcel to make a request, and we base it based on their investment. But the other part of this is they also have to make an annual request of this. I don't automatically send out a payment every year. I wait for them to call me or email me and say, we're ready for our tax rebate.
That's all, and that is, make sure we know, that's only money that he
Correct.
generates. It's not money it's money that he generates.
Absolutely. And it's done right after the assessment. So once the property appraiser assesses it, we know how much he paid, then it's paid out of how much they paid in. So unless he pays it, he doesn't get it back.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to stop the growth. I want it to go. I really want it to go like it should go. But I do know what's gonna happen on the other side of the street. If things don't happen like you're talking about, they're gonna happen, get a lift station there. Somebody over there's gonna be looking for a handout too. So that's all I want people to understand that we're not just giving people money just so they can go make money.
I want to clarify to you, what, Commissioner, we're not giving Scott Stewart any money. No, we're not giving Scott Stewart any money. We're subsidizing the city of Lake City to help with utilities on that side of this. And that's something we do all the time. We've done it several times in the past.
But out of everything we just talked about, there's about 375 young ladies and older ladies that have called me and me. And there's one that you left out. Is there a chance public might come? Because if it does, we give them 50. I mean, you can give them whatever amount of money. The county will be, not only will it have people driving up there, they're able to get groceries from a needy spot in the county, but also the tax revenue from that will be unbelievable. So, if I know there's no promise of public, but tell us what you know about that. But do not say it's coming, because you don't know that.
No, I don't. And to be honest, I'm not going to tell you that they're there for certain. I know I've had conversations with them in the past, and the point of contact that I was working with a couple years back knew that interchange better than I did. So that's how many times they have driven that and clocked from there to the VA, there to all where large, employers and things are. They've been very interested in that intersection for quite some time. Again, it was the lack of utilities. that was driving it. So, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, yes, 100% certain, because, until they open the door and we cut the ribbon, it's never 100% certain. But I will say that, they are very interested.
But we're opening up the door for them.
Absolutely, and
Yeah, that's
without
what
the
matters.
discussion of the guarantee of sewer, they would not be there.
I would tell Commissioner Holbert, I live 375. I put 500 of them. South End County where I live at, everybody is
One of
excited
the
about
first,
it.
You could build hotels and stores and all kind of stuff between Fort White and Publix. I
So we
promise.
want the public.
That or
to-
Krispy Kreme. If I could tell you a Krispy Kreme was coming, that would be the other thing that people would love, but I can't, there's not a Krispy Kreme.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it not only generates property tax, it generates sales tax, fuel tax, and all kinds of other revenues.
Publix is a boon to any county it comes to. So, Mr. Lilford.
Thank you, guys. I want to say, I just want to tell you about what Mr. Smith is coming up. Jennifer was great with helping us negotiate a agreement with Cornerstone Development Project. And I think we come up with something that's palatable for everyone to live with. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, thank you. Is this, I'm just a little confused. It says economic development update. Are you voting on anything?
No. Joe, hey, Joe, you want to cover that?
Yeah, no, you can't vote on it. So Commissioner Ford called the emergency meeting so they could get an answer to Cornerstone in terms of the EDA's recommendation, EDAV's recommendation. I still have to draft the thing. It's not been drafted. It's gonna have to come back to the full board for approval. So you're correct. This is literally just an update to say
This is
what
just an
happened.
update.
All
So
of it.
there's really, so let me give my name for the record. My name is Stu Looker. I live 6.5 miles south of the thriving metropolis of Fort White in Mr. Ford's district. And I've been publishing the Columbia County Observer since 2007. Some of you may have read the articles. If this is true or not, but you should. I'm a little confused. So the county is now giving over $300,000 to the city of Lake City, donating it for a lift station. Period, because the city gave, if my memory is correct, has earmarked $377,000 for that lift station, which is, if nobody knows what a lift station is, when you poop, the gravity flows it to the sewer, and then it pumps it to where it can be pumped to a regular sewer plant. So if you don't know what it is, so you gotta have a lift station. I mean, it's either that, the county gives somebody a 5-gallon bucket and sends them down to the river like they used to do in the old days. They don't do that anymore. So the city has earmarked $377,000. Now, as it turns out, for a utility that they will own once you guys get together and the city annexes that into the city, and the county agrees. My question is this, that's what it seems like with this new thing that
Well, the lift station will be there no matter what.
right, but the city will eventually own it, once it goes to the city will own it. Because the city is providing the utilities there.
City will own it, whether
Right,
they
right.
annex the property or not.
It's the city, but once fine. So here's the question I have, and this is what I asked at this Economic Development Advisory Board. If the county didn't give the money to the city, it's a private development. I've owned businesses, I know Mr. Ford, you've owned businesses. I don't think the county's contributed to your businesses. When I was doing businesses, when I would live someplace else and look at $1 million worth of inventory that I owned on the wall, nobody contributed to that. I had to pay for it. Then when somebody bought it, I got paid back and hopefully made a little bit of profit. So my question is this this development, never mind all the other stuff with DOT, is a private development owned by a private investor. It's not, the county could have bought all that property and did it themselves. So why isn't the,
I'm listening.
okay, that's fine.
Somebody else wants to speak.
Why isn't the developer paying for that? You could go to the bank, and then Lake City, being that they're going to own it, provide the money for it. They can pay the developer back for the money. That's generally the way private enterprise works. It used to, in America, the way I know America, from the days when I was in private enterprise, if somebody else bought it, they paid for it. So if Mr. Stewart had invested in that so-called region utility And that's not really a regional lift station. It's for that development and a few things close by, however you define a region. I'd like to know only one thing, is why the county had to spend county taxpayer money and just went all over that budget stuff, when the developer could have gone to the bank, got a loan, and then when the city took it over, the city wanted to use that lift station that they own, at least half of it, pay them back for it, because the city's gonna own it. And that's my question. That's the way private enterprise used to work in America. Apparently it doesn't work that way with you guys anymore. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody have a comment? No, up here.
I'll just say, the water truck can come in, we spent $100,000 on helping the city to run utilities.
More than that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an economic development incentive that you give to, you know, the main industrial park got a sewer plant out there. We didn't ask warehouses, they could have, I mean, the state of Florida, see one of the advantages that sewer plant would be to the South Carolina side, they give us a grant for most of it, you know, just.
I think.
This way we've done this is the way it works all the time. I don't know what Mr. Lipper is referring to actually, but.
Mr. Chairman. So Florida statute 125.045 authorizes counties to expend general fund for any economic development purpose if the board determines it to be an economic development purpose. Whether this board wants to use that power or not does not influence whether the other 66 counties do. That's right. And what economic development incentives do is make you competitive with other jurisdictions. Marion County has run circles around us in 20 years on logistics operations, even though we did have that plant out there, even though we did have places, even though we're closer to both interstates. Marion County's run circles around us. They've used their power under 125.045 to heavily incentivize people to come in there, and they're forever changed. So we don't get nearly as much incentives as other jurisdictions do. When you do it, based on your ordinances, based on your resolution, it goes to the Economic Development Advisory Board. That non-elected board, appointed board of business people looks at it, says, does this make sense for our county? They tell you what they want to do. There's 100 different ways to skin a cat, and borrowing money from a bank is always an option, but it takes time, and and what happened in this particular circumstance, as Mr. Stewart explained to you, was that he got blindsided with this lift station, and it was going to take him significantly more time to finance it himself. So that was what happened here. And again, it got vetted. It's where it is.
And we all, but Joe, utilities are always subsidized by the state or the county. I mean, Fort White just got $22 million to run sewer in the town of Fort White.
Well, I think
would you ask the guy that owns the collector to pay for sewer in Fort White? I mean, you know, that's just not even feasible.
And I think if I'm not wrong, the same thing happened at 441. The state gives us what, $25 million? $25 million to help us get that thing online, because all this is an investment in the future for our children, for development. There's a lot of people out there, and this is my situation with this, because I just had the guys at the camping place asking about their sewer. There are people existing there right now that have been taxpayers in this county for years and years and years that are going to benefit from him doing this development. They won't have anything to do with that development, but that city sewer will go up to them, and then we stop set tanks. We have it where we've got a camper site that's going to be on city sewer. It's benefiting everybody that's there, and then it's going to benefit the future. So if you don't do this, you'll be left behind. You won't have any industry in your county in today's society. That's what it is. And we're very conservative on it. We try to do the right thing every way. And if the public's coming in, all this whole discussion is going to be most point, because everybody's going to be happy. So I got a comment card from Dylan Adams. Oh, Jerry Bullard. Twins.
Thank you. So to Stu's point, right? So yeah, so Dylan Adams, 212 North Marion Avenue, 316. So to Mr. Loper's point, you know, obviously they want to know where the money's coming from, where it's going, all those types of things. So the reality behind it, right? We're talking about utilities. To Mr. Hollingsworth's point, it's gonna benefit everyone in its circumference. Now, whether that's determined as regional or whatever you want to call it, right? There's a difference between reservation and capacity. Because the lift station's there and it's available, there needs to be a reservation of capacity with any utility. They have to pay for that cup or that availability, just like they do water. My partner and I, Tim Williams, we do entitlement projects all over the state and some in South Georgia. We're going through it right now with the city of McLean. We had a client that did reservation for a subdivision in '06. Now, luckily, McLean had that reservation available still in their cup, even though the west side of Jacksonville was going gangbusters and pulling some of the water. Going on 47, you have not only Western Woods and a massive subdivision that has 2 or 3 unfinished phases that are platted but not recorded. You also have an additional 40-acre parcel that connects to this commercial parcel we're talking about. That's the back end of a subdivision. When we're talking about bringing jobs, and I know Jennifer and I speak quite a bit about things coming into the county and where we're going to find places for people to live, they're going to work at these places. We're trying to do these enclave projects that promote individualized workforce, not affordable or subsidized housing, but affordable workforce housing. And to do that, you have to have some density. And to get density, you either have to have sewer or some type of compact sewer system. So to Robbie's point, you are going to have that campground that's going to connect to it. I'm sure everybody's going to be happy on those septic tanks coming out of the ground without crushing or however they do that. I'm not familiar with that process. But there's a major difference between availability and capacity. If they build it, it's on city property, it's city owned. Mr. Stewart does not own, maintain, or can connect to it until he pays a fee to do so, or the tenants do so. So it's available to everyone. It's first come, first served basis, to my understanding. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay. No more cards on that. We need to move to the next. Yeah, David Kraus.
So the next one is the 25-26 fiscal year position description. As part of the budget, we've needed to modify or change some positions, and we're looking for you to approve those modified and changed positions. They are funded in the floor budget, so they are included in the budget. Specifically, we talked about succession planning because we have a lot of people who are nearing retirement, and we've got to be able to fill those positions and get the people left over having the organizational expertise to know what to do as they move forward. So the first one would be, we would like to create an assistant director of landscaping and parks, and with that, take a maintenance tech 2 and 3 positions, 2 positions each of those. So that would be an assistant director of landscaping and parks, 2 maintenance 2 techs, and 2 maintenance tech 3s that we want to add. In terms of disaster response, we've talked about how can we improve how we handle disasters. And we went through the workshops, we went through the presentation of the policy. Part of that whole thing was getting more organization on the logistics side. We all know handling the roads and the operations is done, but we always seem to have problems on the logistics side. So we would like to upgrade an existing position to Public Safety Division Director, specifically Mr. Crawford, so that when you have a question on logistics, you call Mr. Crawford and he can get it done. He's got troops, he's got organization, he's got all the things that we haven't had in the past on this side of the equation. And with that, he has requested an administrative supervisor to help him with that, which is a new position. Opioid funding. Because we talked about opioid funding, we keep getting more and more opioid funding. With the last round of the next opioid settlement, we want to add another community paramedic to a lower rate than the, or rank than the existing paramedic, so it doesn't cost quite as much, and a secretary specialist, because it takes an amazing amount of paperwork to handle all this opioid stuff. If you don't see me, just ask Lisa Roberts. She'll be happy to tell you. Finally, animal enforcement. If you are adding the kennels, we are going to need another animal enforcer or an animal control officer, and we're going to need an animal care tech to take care of the kennels and the animals that are in the kennels. Again, this is just for animal enforcement activity. And then other. We know we have a problem with HVAC. Our last air conditioning guy left. It is very specialized at the courthouse. And there's no way under the existing salaries we could hire somebody that can do that. we will save money by upgrading that existing position and hiring somebody with the knowledge of chillers and things at the courthouse rather than just continue to contract it out. So this will actually save you money in the long term, but there is a short-term implication. We're asking you to approve the position. And then finally, as we talked about earlier, we want to take the existing Veterans Affairs Officer, Veteran Service Officer, and let him go full-time. He is doing an amazing job. I get letters every day about how wonderful he's been and how he gets our veterans more money and more benefits and things they deserve but could never get because of the bureaucracy that takes place in dealing with the VA. So we want to recognize this, and by making him full-time, it will give him an ability to serve more and more veterans in our community. So we bid budget for that position to go full-time. And with that, unless there's any questions, we ask you to approve and authorize the position descriptions and position authorizations for these positions.
So moved.
So moved. I want to make one little thing before we pass it. Well, before we try to pass it. The veterans have become this board's one of our projects when we first came in here, and I'm really happy to say these fellows have helped, and we have got them the help they need, and I think they're happy about it. And if we need more help, you know we're going to help you. We just want to let y'all know that. We appreciate your service. I have a motion for approval of position descriptions. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
So the next item is RFQ 2025G, 500-acre engineering services, phase 1. You've all heard about us wanting to build a 500 recreation facility, 500-acre recreation facility on North Bascom Norris. Before you can build it, you got to do the engineering. And so this is to basically pick the firm and award it. On 4/8/25, the board approved the final rankings and authorized us to negotiate with North Florida Professional Services. They came back, and so we're asking you to approve the agreement with North Florida Professional Services for the $1,011,000 with the possible additional costs of approximately $35,000.
Motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Next item is the budget amendment 2556, approval to transfer funds. You know, we really wanted to build this RC track. We have a great location for it. It's kind of adjacent to the 500-acre park, so it will facilitate growth in that area. It's near Lake Jeffrey and Bascom Norris Road. The bids came in. They were more than what we had anticipated. So the TDC has said we would like to take money from our reserves to fully fund the project and build the RC track. So this is the budget amendment, putting the additional $275,000 into the RC track construction fund.
So moved. Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Next one is the 2025-0 budget for bid. That is also for the Gateway RC track building. This is to go ahead and award the contract for plumb level construction for the proposed cost of $648,591 and execute construction contract so he can go ahead and begin building the RC track facility.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Next one is the FY 25-26 Small County Consolidated Waste Agreement, TEP. We do this every year. The amount is still $93,750. This is the amount of money that they give us to help pick up trash along the roads.
Second. All, motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All opposed? No. No opposed, right? No. Motion passes.
So the next one is the 25-26 opioid abatement funding purchase order agreement. The very first opioid settlement that we do with LSF. They don't really do contracts with us. They do purchase order agreements. Don't ask me why. That's what they do, federal government. So this is the purchase order agreement for next year's funding for the opioid abatement funding from that first settlement.
Do I have a motion to approve the purchase order agreement? So moved. Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
They do the POs because they can terminate them and not pay you any time.
Okay, we have open public comments to the board, 3-minute limit. Come on down. Nobody wants to talk? Clint, you got anything? You got anything? Anybody around here got anything? Jerry Bullard, Mr. Bullard? All right, any staff comments?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So,
You grew up
Wait,
here.
how about that?
Yeah.
So real quick, so the fire that happened at Cedar Park, a lot of us here found out about it online. So first of all, let me back up a little bit. Thank you to our first responders, did a great job getting the fire out, no injuries done, so let's start there. Secondly, we found out on social media, most of us, I think, I'm not saying in the heat of battle, we need to get a phone call, but that's in my area, I didn't know about it until 11 o'clock that day, and I heard on social media. And I'm in the woods cutting up food plots and jump on Facebook and, oh my gosh, we go to town. You know, so I think we should have we need to do something. We have emergencies in place for hurricanes, which that falls similar to that. We implement the same effect as in sheltering for folks, I believe. We just need to have something in place to get some phone calls out to the appropriate people.
That's what it takes. I think the fire department, sheriff's office, probably, we should figure out some way.
Yeah, I don't know what it entails, but we need to have something in place. Because like I said, we didn't find out, so, I didn't find out until 11 o'clock. And I would load a phone call, again, not in the heat of battle, but we just need to have something to go out when things calm down. Hey, we need to let somebody know. So, I think we need to put something on those lines, and that's something we can do. I guess maybe when budget's done, or maybe give it Joel and see how we can do that, but I think that should definitely happen.
So, Mr. Chair, I think to Commissioner Parnell's point, we're fortunate now to have a new PIO officer position, and this is one of the areas I think we can evolve. I know other agencies, sheriff's office particularly, police department particularly, their PIO absolutely would, right? Something bad happened in their jurisdiction. We're not a law enforcement agency, but we do have access to information, and so particularly if something pops through dispatch, hey, there's a real significant fire in District 1, we'll develop mechanisms to get that word to you guys as public officials so that you know it as soon as possible. That being said, it's never going to be perfect, right? There's going to be times. I'm with you. I found out when I got phone calls about it, like, what about this? I said, there was a fire. Where?
Dennis actually called me that afternoon or the next day or the next morning. Anyway, Dennis called me. And he did put something out on Facebook on our website too.
Yeah.
But it was later, yeah.
He called me too, so not just crazy, but he called me too, and I was in the heat of doing everything. I don't even remember what you said. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you what you said at all. You called.
So one of the things that I think, and Dennis he's working every day, but I think developing a real tight relationship with the other PIOs in the community that's gonna be how that happens. Because he's gonna learn things sometimes. Hey, sheriff needs to know this, and he'll call his PIO for the sheriff. And so it's just going to be, but it's a absolutely great example and opportunity for us to all get better.
Mr. Parnell, I want to commend you for when you stepped up and all you've done for this. Yeah, you have done a great job.
This is the job. This is what we're here for. So I just doing what everybody voted for. So that's all I'm doing. I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do.
You did.
And because I do care.
Do what you're supposed to do. You actually.
Any other staff comments? Commissioner comments? Yeah. As a veteran, I want to say that I'm proud that they have stepped up and put a good man in a full-time position, helping veterans. It took me from my time out of service until about a year ago before I ever received what I should have gotten way back when I got out of service. So I'm glad he's there helping people get what they deserve. Thank you.
I just want to say that I think the Cornerstone project, if you get a Publix or not, get another grocery store, is a very good project. And I'm glad, I'm proud to be a part of it, and I stand behind everything we agreed to do to help this project move forward. And I think with the help of Jennifer, we negotiated a great deal for the developer and for the county. So I'll stand behind that 100%.
Anybody else? updates from county manager? Goodbye. I'm tired of listening.
No.
It's hot. It is hot.
You're gonna be quiet, you know.
Well, in 2 weeks, we got another public hearing. You can
Okay.
listen to me then.
You can talk. Alright. Motion adjourned? Yeah, we'll go. Tired of listening. Oh, you got these.